Fantasy Football T5 League Beauty Review.
Alright, so the first matchup that we have in our wide receiver 1 elimination bracket, which this was AI generated, or at least all these matchups were, it's going to be Khalil Shakir from the Buffalo Bills going up against Xavier Worthy from the Kansas City Chiefs. How did each wide receiver do throughout the course of the year? Do I remember seeing or playing against them in fantasy and really thinking like, hey, I might have missed an opportunity there? I do believe that it's going to be a very close matchup here. So we're going to jump into the statistics. We'll do a little bit of an analysis. We're going to look at some of the key indicators, or my key indicators. We should hopefully be able to make a determination as to who we believe should advance to the next round of the bracket. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so we're going to sign on to ESPN.com. This is the website that we use to host this particular draft. And then as we go down, I'm going to find my team here. Now, within ESPN, one of the things that I really like, or one of the tools that they provide you, is that whenever you're doing, if you need to do a comparison, when you go into the actual players menu, where we have all the free agents, and you'll notice the first person that we're going to look for is going to be Khalil Shakir. And then we're going to turn on our compare players. We're going to mark that we're going to compare Khalil Shakir with our next search, which will be Xavier Worthy. Alright, so when we're looking at this, we can clearly see the 2024 season ending results. Khalil Shakir had a total of 182.5 points, averaging 12.2 points a game, in comparison to Xavier Worthy, who had 187.2 points. So Worthy beat Shakir in the number of fantasy points, but averaged 11 points per game. So that's a very interesting variable that we're going to take into consideration when reviewing this. Now, when we select each player's name, one thing I really like is it gives you the weekly breakdown. Now, I want to keep this information. I'm going to throw it into an Excel sheet. We'll total some of the columns and we'll put some conditional formatting in there. So that's what you're going to see me do here. And we're going to capture the week. Copy and paste. Perfect. All right. So some of the columns that we're going to total is going to be our receptions. We're going to end up totaling all these columns, but we'll first start with the receptions, and then we'll just drag it over for the formula to pick up the... Then we just drag it over in order to apply that same sort of formula. Alright, so far we can look at the receptions for each wide receiver. This is a PPR league, so each reception counts as a point. So we're going to go ahead and start with the receptions. Xavier Worthy had 59 receptions on the year compared to Khalil Shakir at 76, giving Shakir the upper hand. Shakir also had the upper hand in yards with 821 compared to 638. Worthy did win the touchdown battle with 6 in comparison to 4 over Shakir. And then targets was pretty even, with only a 2 target difference between them two, but more efficiency from Shakir. Worthy did get more carries or the opportunity to run the ball, so 20-2. Worthy also was able to amass 104 yards rushing in comparison to 4. And Xavier Worthy was able to find the end zone 3 times for touchdowns, which allowed him to which made it so much more competitive when we were looking at it just from a fantasy point perspective alone. So I'm going to take us back over to the Excel file, and now that we've applied some conditional formatting to it, you'll notice we can visually compare each of the weeks throughout the course of the season. So any item in green indicates that the wide receiver performed above their average. So Shakir had an average of 12.2 points per game, Xavier Worthy had 11 points per game. Anything that we see in yellow here indicates that they performed below their average. And then everything you see in red is going to be twofold. So if they didn't play that week, it's going to be highlighted. Obviously, no numeric value, we're just ignoring that. And then anything where they exceeded 20 points is going to be highlighted. So as we go through each of these, we'll see that Shakir posted a more stable season or a more consistent season. You'll notice that he had that we're not seeing many yellows, but we only see not a lot of busts, but we only see one boom and that was for 21.6 points. He did have a 19.9 point game and a 19.2 point game, so it's not that he wasn't getting near that marker. And then on the other side, we're looking at Xavier Worthy, who it seems to be like a bust or boom candidate, right? So we see that 3 games averaged over 20 points per game. All of those were booms. And then we also see that there's 6 or 7 games where they averaged, or Xavier averaged underneath the season average of 11 points, which would be our bust in this situation here. Okay, so we've reviewed the stats for each players. We've done our comparison. When we take into consideration those external variables, such as is the rest of the team healthy? What's the offensive scheme looking like for the upcoming year? How many opportunities are going to be there? I believe that that's going to be where we see the separation. So our winner happens to be Khalil Shakir from the Buffalo Bills. He will be advancing to the next round. And this was solely based off of the consistency aspect. I'm expecting him to see more target shares next year based off of what he was able to produce and demonstrate this current year. He was also out an extra game in comparison to Xavier Worthy. So I just think he's going to be a safer option, but he may not provide the same sort of boom week by week, that thrill that Xavier Worthy will. And then for Worthy's side of things, he's going to be coming back and playing with Simeon Rice, who's going to be looking to prove a point coming off of a season-long injury. Isaiah Pacheco should be back to form, so we won't see the split committee in the backfield after that week 3 injury. So I just think that we're going to see less opportunity or more of a role type player for Worthy, consistent with the prior year. I think he's going to do better. I just don't think he's going to improve to the level that Shakir will be based off of experience. All right. Thank you for watching. In the next video will be Christian Watson from the Green Bay Packers going up against DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears.